hall, in Hall 4, as you can see, we have the talk Building a Cloud Native Austria with Daniel and Thomas. Also, as an introduction quickly for you, I made some notes. What did I put down? Using Mac, I don't like them anymore. No, sorry, this is the wrong thing. It's an iPhone, yes. Touché. A couple of things. So basically what, Daniel, you have started the CNCF meetup group in Graz, and I think we'll hear a lot from you, from your experience around what it actually means to start a community. It's not an easy job, right? It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of people that help. You have started your work, if I'm not mistaken, took this from the bio, in administration for ETL and BI tools. Yeah, are you still proud of that? Okay. And then after that, you worked in data warehousing before diving into all topics, DevOps and Cloud Native. You live in Graz, as we said, and you started the whole community down there. Thomas, we have worked together at Dynatrace. Now you are with us, and we worked on the Captain open source project for many years. And I'm really looking forward to hear what you guys really have to say about building a Cloud Native Austria. Without further ado, I want to give you the time and also the microphone, I guess.
Yes, thank you. So hello everyone. Yes, a question first. How many of you did ever attend a Cloud Native meetup in Austria? So many people. Yes, and today we will talk about how we think about a Cloud Native Austria and how we think about extending and establishing new communities in Austria. So at first, why do we build community groups and meetups in Austria? At first, it's always good if people talk to each other. So what's very cool at this event here, so many people from many countries, from many regions of Austria come together, talk together, exchange knowledge and so on. That brings me to knowledge sharing. So we all have different experiences. We all find out new things every day. And if we come together, if we talk about it, then we can all get better with this. Furthermore, it's always nice to find new ideas. So many people came to a booth today and asked, how is this with Backstage? How does this work? And so on. So that's also cool with meetups and communities. Helping each other. So every one of us has some problems, hopefully of technical nature. And if we all can work on such things together, it's also cool for everyone. And last but not least, meetups and community groups are good for beer, wine, and also for having fun. So especially in Graz, I think we are also doing such things as pub quizzes and so on. So when we take a look on the landscape in Austria, we see that there are some communities. So we have one in Vienna, we have one in Linz, we have one in Graz, and one in Salzburg at the moment. So what's up with them? We have one community in Linz. This started at 2020 around. This had around 25 events. And normally so around 25 to 50 visitors, and is an in-person event. So this is one of the first events we had in Austria, and this is organized by Giuliano Costa and by Jürgen Etzelsdorfer. Giuliano is also here. I don't know if Jürgen is here. So if you see one with I think he has a red card, who is called Giuliano, talk to him, and he might also tell you more about the Linz chapter. The second one is in Salzburg, which is mainly remote. So every one of you can join the meetups there. And they also had around 13 meetups until now. They have started 2021 and have around 15 to 20 visitors by each meetup. This is organized by Johannes Grunberg, who is also a co-organizer of this KCD event, and also Christian Köberl, who I also saw today here. Last but not least, we have the Viennese chapter, which is also one of the oldest ones, which has around 19 events until now. And normally I found out today between 20 and 50 visitors. And I think one is missing, right?
Yes, so hello from my side as well. May I just ask, who of you guys has never heard of the city of Graz? At least one person. This slide is for you. Yeah, Graz is the second biggest city in Austria, and it's located right here. That's awesome. I love this feature. So we're in Styria. Yeah, and I was actually quite astonished when I heard that there is no such thing as a Cloud Native community group there, since Graz is actually quite big in terms of IT companies, like big industrial companies, and there's a lot going on there. But we haven't had a big, renowned meetup there since about 2 years ago. And that's why I actually decided, well, let's give it a try. So today I'm going to give you a little introduction of how the Graz chapter was coming of age and how it all started. It started in winter of 2020 when I did research on my master thesis and I had to interview some very good, renowned experts in the cloud native field regarding Kubernetes, which back then wasn't that easy to find, so I had to do all the interviews remote. There was also this COVID thingy going on, so we couldn't meet in person. But as this was a lot of effort, I wanted to talk to each and every one of them and invite them to dinner sometime. But as I said, we had to wait some time, so it took about 7 months when we first met. And as you probably know, IT guys, when we meet, when we have dinner, we talk about family, hobbies, pets. Just kidding, we're talking about work. Kubernetes was all over the place, like, what's your cluster, what you're doing, hey, you're doing Ansible, cool stuff, okay. And we decided, well, we could just skip out all the hobbies and all the fun stuff and meet again, talk about the tech stuff solely. So that's pretty much what we did. And since Kubernetes was the big thing at the time, we started to call this thing a Kubernetes Regulars Table or Kubernetes Stammtisch. So then we had our first meeting. Back then, I think it was at LBI, I think, not sure about that anymore. And we did that a couple of times. And in June 2022, we actually decided to become a CNCF chapter. Since this has some very advantageous perks for us, coming along with the good branding, etc. Also a great platform to host our events, to advertise it, and so on and so forth. We decided to give that a try, opened the request to become a chapter, which was actually pretty cool. CNCF was very open about it. And yeah, then we became the 3rd or 4th chapter in Graz, in Austria. Now, put forward a year. Next month we will be hosting our 11th event in person. So we tried to do some of this hybrid stuff, but actually it didn't work out that well. So we also tried to stick to in-person events for the obvious reasons Thomas already mentioned. And we also thought, well, might be cool to not just have these 20, 30, 50 people events. Might be cool to have something bigger, obviously. So that's also why we decided to contribute to KCD. But we also decided to do something like a Cloud Day in April in Graz next year. So this is going to be about a 200 people event, probably located at the FH Joanneum, the biggest research hall in Graz. We will have companies there, we will have academia there. Also, as Constanze mentioned, we try to cooperate with academia and try to establish that as a yearly event, which is greater and bigger than the regular meetups. We try to host every 6 weeks. Now, I also want to share a few words about the why. Why did I start this chapter? Why do me and my co-organizers put in the effort to keep this alive? As Thomas already said, it's the ideas, the knowledge, the exchanging ideas, getting to know new stuff. There is always somebody who knows better than I do, and I can learn a lot from. So that's definitely the first point. Second thing, connecting with people, connecting with organizations. That's also why it's interesting for organizations to contribute to such events, since they can also pretty much get to know new people, exchange with other organizations. And of course, as we all know, there's the big and important part, which is fun. I don't want to have the beer card here in Graz. But we also serve beer. And as I said, we had these meetups, which is all fun and good, but we actually wanted to strive for something bigger, and that's why the idea of hosting KCDs came up also in Graz. So just as a quick reminder, KCDs are community-driven events, and that's something that's very important. We are not organized by the CNCF per se, we are organized by the community in Austria for the sake of networking, collaboration, and education. Now, how did KCD Austria actually come to life? Let me give you a short overview of what we actually did and how it happened. In January this year, actually some of us had the idea to do something bigger. As I said, we in Graz thought, well, 30 people is cool, but how about 300 people? And apparently also some people in Linz and in Vienna and so on and so forth had the same idea about the same time. And that's why in February, Alex Reitbauer from Dynatrace opened the official GitHub issue to host KCDs in Austria. The other people with the same idea noticed that, so we said, well, let's have a call, let's discuss things further. And that's how we met in person the first time, the organizers, in the Dynatrace office in Vienna in March. Spoiler alert, it was the first and last meeting until yesterday where all the organizers met in person. So what we did is we had lots of meetings, we had regular weekly calls, we tried to organize everything, and I'm just going to give you a little best of outage of the things we actually had to consider and we maybe struggled a little bit with. First thing was the CFP. This was also my part, and I actually thought, well, first time KCDs, maybe we have about, I don't know, 40 applicants, something like that, because we also had to review each and every one of them, and that's quite an effort. And it turned out we had 123, which was a lot to review, but it was cool. So all the applications were really, really great, and we're also actually sorry to have to reject some of them, but as Andy already mentioned, we also have a rejects event, so please apply with your applications as well. Next thing is the venue. If you try to get a venue in the same year for autumn season, which is the event season, and you don't have anything yet, and you want to at least host 300 people, even in a city like Vienna, that's tough. But we managed to, and Cineplex is awesome. They did a great job at supporting us. The venue is great. So it turned out pretty fine, but it was quite a struggle for some weeks. Next thing, the legal entity. If you organize an event, somebody has to be the official organizer. Somebody has to stand straight if things go sideways. And we're actually quite happy that Dynatrace offered to do it this year for KCD Austria, since it would be quite tough to found an association or something that is able to host such an event. The next thing, tools. If you do events under the name of CNCF, you are provided with some tools, and some of them are really, really, really great. They take off a lot of effort, but there are also some that are just a pain in the ass. Let me tell you, it's some things are just crazy. Yeah, but we managed to work it off, so also this worked out. Next thing we had to consider is food and drinks, and we were actually kind of afraid either of the price and of the organization of food and drinks, but this turned out actually quite well. We had one partner, they did a great job at a really good price. They offer all the food, so as you've probably seen, we have coffee, we have drinks, we have breakfast, we will have lunch, I guess. We also have an evening event, so we got you fully covered, and this was actually quite cool. The next things were sponsors. When we started this, we first thought, well, not sure how many organizations and companies are actually going to give money to a community event like this. And we were astonished. There were so many companies trying to contribute, trying to give us money, trying to help us. It was really amazing. So we were actually way more than actually sold out by the sponsors. We even had requests of additional companies that wanted to fund us, and we had to put them off to next year's KCD. So it was really, really amazing, the support we got from the company scene in Austria. And one thing that I also wanted to mention is that it was fascinating to see that we started with, when such an idea grows, there are so many people that are trying to contribute, that want to be part of it, but we also saw that when it came down to actually doing the work, we had a somewhat drastic organizer decline. So we started with about 20 people, and the core team now consists of about 9 people. So that's also something, no bad talk, but if you want to create your own KCDs, create a community, keep in mind that people will drop out. You won't be ending up with the same team you started with. So then there are my 5 lessons learned, and I think I'm going to hand over to Thomas again. First thing, organization and communication is key. We had protocols, we had project management, we had regular meetings. Without that, I'm 100% sure we wouldn't be able to kick these KCDs off as we did, and it paid off, definitely. Which brings me to the second point, it's the team. Team. Team is everything. We had so many good people. We had 9 key organizers that each of which took over a special role and a special part of the organization, and they did a great job. Since there, I already mentioned it, there's so many things to consider, and you need to have so much knowledge, from legal to technical. You need to have somebody that takes care of that stuff, so you definitely have to rely on your team. and it's a ton of effort. Believe me, it is. The second to last thing is the partners are essential. It's all fun, and if you have a team, you can kick the things off, you can get stuff done, but you also need the money. You need the funds and you need the means to actually start such an event and to fund it, and therefore you need partners. Trust me, you won't be able to pay this from your own bank account. Definitely not. But in the end, it's absolutely worth it. Having you all here, seeing this crowd, it's actually really, really cool. And yeah, thanks again also from my side for coming here, and we're not done. So, as I already mentioned, going from Meetup to KCD is one step, but the question is, what do we do from KCD on? And that's something that Thomas is going to tell you about.
Thank you. And before I start, I think Andy was also part of it when we heard about the first idea of the KCDs in Austria. I think this was in November when we were there. And yes, thank you to you and the Graz chapter for bringing this up, and to every one of you for making this happen. And I think it's time for a big applause for the Graz chapter and for Daniel. Thank you. Yes, so the KCDs are pretty big, and I hope all of you have very much fun with it. But we learned that I think we can do more in Austria than only KCDs. And I think this also brings me to part of the things which Constanze already mentioned. At first, and I will come back to that later, at first the KCD, the organization of the KCDs in Austria brought people and communities together. So we had organizers from around 4 chapters, from 5 organizing companies, and there are much more, I think. And at the moment, we have around between 20 and 35 people in the org channel, also with all of the people involved from the CNCF and other sponsors and so on. And all of these people and organizations and so on are doing really nice work in their area. So companies are doing cloud native stuff in a very big way. People are driving communities, are working on things, are tinkering on cloud native things. And also the 4 CNCF chapters in Austria are also trying to drive everything around this. Many of the people are very enthusiastic about cloud native technologies. So many of us are doing this in our free time. We are playing around with things and also trying to bring things up. So one thing we should learn after these KCDs is we should try to spread knowledge and organize such events together. So one of the first ideas when we thought about a Cloud Native Austria was about building new communities. So you see we have 4 CNCF chapters in the moment, and we have some white spots on the yes, and the first one is here. We have some white spots here, and one of the ideas was we want to bring cloud native meetups and communities to areas where none exist. So the first example for this, and now it's your time, we want to build a new chapter in Innsbruck. We found some people, so you, and I think it's time for applause, to organize the first meetup. They organized the venue for it, and we, as Cloud Native Austria, are helping them with the organization of the first meetups, learning them to drive a bike, but they have to drive it by themselves in the end. So the ultimate goal of all of this is get a new chapter, get regular meetups, and try to make this work. A second thing we have in mind is a thing which now we are at the point which Constanze already mentioned. We want to drive cloud native and education together. So as we all know, the industry needs lots of cloud native engineers. Many of today's technologies are here to stay. So yes, we have Kubernetes at the moment. There might be a successor of it sometimes, but container orchestration and so on will be a thing which will stay. Also containers and so on, GitOps and other things are things we might need in the future. So one thing we thought of is we need more education about containers and cloud native technologies. One example for this is the master course, Cloud Computing Engineering, reached out to me to talk about Kubernetes there. So one thing we established now is 3 terms of Cloud Native Engineering in this course, where we do container technologies, Kubernetes basics, orchestration basics in the first term. In the second term, we have infrastructure engineering, Kubernetes advanced, so also learning how the control plane works and so on. In the third term, we will take a look about cloud native application delivery and other current topics such as GitOps and so on. After these 3 things, our students will write some master theses. So one of them sits here. This was about strategies for promoting releases in GitOps environments. And the second one is, unfortunately not here, was about comparison of scaling methods for a Kubernetes application using custom metrics. And these were pretty nice things to read. And there is also a cloud day at the University of Applied Sciences in Burgenland on the 3rd of February. I think also, you might also see Daniel there. Okay, so as an outlook for all of this cloud native and education stuff, there is also a higher education initiative in the CNCF. I'm also there. I'm also trying to participate there, let's say it this way. And also will try to drive this into academia. Furthermore, there are many people in Austria, so every one of you, hopefully, able to teach this. So we can all try to get more of such things in to the universities. And we can also try to organize cloud native events there. So such as the cloud days in Graz and in Eisenstadt. And also if we have some other lectures and so on, we can simply try to do it. Last but not least, we all can help educating more cloud native people. So we have some next events for Cloud Native Austria things. At first, the next Graz meetup is, I think, on the 3rd of October. Do you have any topics there?
We're still looking for topics and speakers. So if you want to speak in Graz, feel free to text me. Okay, I think this is a request we have to all of the meetups. If you have some nice things to talk about, just reach out to the meetups, reach out to Daniel, reach out to me, and we will try to get a slot for you somewhere. That you also have to have the possibility to gain experience in talking about such things. The second one is at the 5th of October is a Vienna meetup. I think this has the theme Dockerfile nightmares. I think we all can write books about this. We have one meetup in Linz on the 18th of October. I'm not sure what the topic is there. And what Andy told us already, we have a Cloud Native Austria meetup, which is around the rejected or giving rejected talks of the KCDs a second chance. So if you handed in some of your nice proposals and you got it rejected, we had very much talks in our CFPs. They were not bad, and please feel free to hand them in there. And on November the 22nd, there will be a meetup in Innsbruck. Okay, so Cloud Native Austria will be an association. So it will be a legal entity, and it might be also the entity which will organize the KCDs in the future. Currently, yesterday we signed everything. Eric, Daniel, and me are the organizers there. If someone of you wants to join, wants to participate in this, feel free to reach out to us. We are definitely open for new people. And you can meet every one of us here. Furthermore, we have 4 CNCF ambassadors in Austria, as Andy mentioned before. Parts of them.
So we have Andy, we have David, we have Giuliano, and myself. And you can meet all of us here at the CNCF, at the KCDs in Austria. So what did you learn today? At first, Cloud Native Austria helps growing and creating communities in Austria. Furthermore, we see it as our mission to spread knowledge around Cloud Native in Austria. So also about in schools, in academia, and so on. And if you want to talk to someone, hopefully about Cloud Native technologies, talk to us. And if you need some support, please also talk to us or to the ambassadors. All of us can help you driving your community forward. There is a nice feedback link for this talk. So if you want to tell us something, or if you want to tell us that our talk was bad, good, or however, feel free to scan the link, click somewhere, and it would be very helpful for us for our next talks. With this, I think we want to thank you. And yes, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
So folks, if you have questions, raise your hand. We have Andreas running around. He still needs to make his steps today.
Didn't walk anything today.
Or just, fake it, and then, here you go. Perfect.
As someone who would be interested in maybe joining a meetup, how do I know where they are? And is there a newsletter that I can subscribe?
For CNCF meetups, you can just look at the Bevy page. That's just community.cncf.com, I think it is, IO. There you can see all the official CNCF community chapters, and they also present their events there, just kind of like a blog. You can also just sign up to be a member of the chapter, which is totally free, and then you're signed up for the newsletter. And some of the chapters, or actually most of them, are also present on meetup.com. So we usually use both platforms since the media reach is higher. And there is also a CNCF Slack channel for Austria, yeah, and for most chapters, I think.
If there is no one else, I'll bring a question myself. What kind of talks are you looking for at the meetups? Like beginner level, super advanced, specialized?
I think meetup should be open for everyone. So if you have a beginner level talk which you want to hand in, so about Kubernetes 101 or whatever, I think it's also welcome in very many meetups, as it brings more not so experienced people in the meetups. And furthermore, if you have some really experienced talks, I think all the other guys other people will be interested in it.
Maybe for reference, in Graz, we also once had a lawyer gone headhunter telling us how he recruits tech people and which methods he uses on how to contact people. So just to see it from the other side, not just your LinkedIn inbox, but also how, for example, a headhunter would approach such people, which was exceptionally insightful. So topics from A to Z.
Just one thing to add, if you want to become a speaker in general, and if you want to speak, let's say, at KubeCon at some point, you will most likely not get your first CFP accepted at KubeCon as a new speaker. I think the CNCF meetups, any type of meetup, is a great way for you to start in a local setting, especially if you're not experienced. It might be intimidating if you stand in front of people. Use these meetups as a chance to just practice. And also, if you have a talk, don't just give it once. Give it multiple times. Austria is not that big. It's easy to travel around between Linz, Graz, Vienna, and Innsbruck, because chances are that if you present it in Vienna, the people in Innsbruck may have not seen it. So practice, and use this as a great way to become a better speaker.